Hi, everyone. So for those of you who don't know me, I'm Kristen. I'm a Senior Group Product Manager in JSM, and alongside me is Carolyn, who's a Senior Product Manager as well. And so we're going to be talking to you today about assets, and we have 4 really big themes we're going to talk to you about. The first is around market trends that we're seeing in the asset management market. The second is really about the assets product itself and how it's used across different processes in JSM. And then we're going to talk a little bit about the Atlassian platform and how when you take assets plus the Atlassian platform, you can really unlock the potential of your teams. And lastly, we'll get to that sweet spot, which is the roadmap, which everyone really wants to get into. So before we get started into kind of the session today, if you are looking for how to import objects, how to create automation rules, or how to tie your assets data to workflows, this isn't the session for you. That's actually happening later today. The deep dive is going to be in the hands-on lab in the back, so make sure you check that out. So with that all taken care of, let's go ahead and get into the state of asset management and some of the trends we're seeing that get us really excited about what we're embarking on. The first trend that we're seeing is actually the term of an asset. And it's not unusual because of where asset management came from in IT service management. When you ask someone, what is an asset? It comes up as a server, a laptop, or something like that. But what we're starting to see is ESM, Enterprise Service Management, is starting to supersede ITSM. And with this change, what we're seeing is asset management practices are being used across different business organizations. So let's face it, everyone has something they want to track and manage. And as a result of this, we're seeing a broadening of the asset management practices to basically anything that is critical and valuable for a business. This could be things like training for HR teams, deals and offers for marketing teams, vendor agreements for finance. Facilities can go into buildings and desks. And some of our customers are even using digital and conceptual assets like roadmap items to track how they're actually going throughout their processes. The second major trend that we're seeing is that it's becoming increasingly clear that data management quality is paramount for what you do. Gartner has identified that 99 companies using CMDBs with data quality issues will experience business disruptions through slower incident resolution and a degradation of quality of changes. There's a number of reasons why data quality is compromised. It can be a result of insufficient tools and practices and maintaining the increasingly large volumes of records. A lack of clear accountability, and the common question, who's supposed to update this? It is critical for an organization to address the gaps in data models and tools, data ownership, and change validation to sustainably improve and then maintain core service management practices like incident, change, and request that this data depends on. The last trend we're observing is connecting your assets data to workflows. Industry statistics tell us only 25% of organizations receive value from their CMDB. Much of the problem is that customers want to bring everything into the CMDB because it's a single source of truth. But this is gradually changing and shifting, and we see customers first asking what service management practices will add value to my business, and then figuring out what data will come through that they need to track. This modern approach can lead to a CMDB that is connected, dynamic, and purposeful, and readily available. Sorry. So now that we've gone through some market trends, we'll go ahead and talk about Assets, the product. It was formerly known as Insight from a Mindful acquisition and is available for premium and enterprise subscriptions for JSM Cloud, as well as JSM Data Center. And this presentation will be covering both updates from cloud and DC versions. So why do we think the trends we're seeing are an opportunity for you to use assets? Well, basically, assets is a database and a map of anything that is valuable for your organization. Assets is incredibly flexible, so we see that some customers use it to map their hardware assets. Some use it to map users, employees, and customers, or even their licenses and patch levels. In addition to managing any kind of assets, you can also create relationships between them to really bring out the context and power of the tool. And it's not just for IT assets. So yes, you can think about infrastructure and laptops, but we're seeing a lot of success of customers bringing in different types of data. People data is one of those types. And when you think about people data, that's things like employees, vendors, and suppliers. We've even seen a use case around skills and training. Our internal sales teams actually track the certifications and skill sets of each of their sales reps, so when they go on a call, they can identify the best sales rep for them to join. Facilities is another interesting example. Think buildings, offices, and warehouses. These can be assets in themselves, or they can be used as contextual information for other assets down to specific details like floors, rooms, and desk numbers. We also look at practices and processes. These are common in HR and compliance use cases. There's a lot of documentation required for a modern day of working. Assets can be used to centralize these things, link them to the types of assets that require this, and then use them to modify workflows and processes in Jira so you can make sure that your teams are working the right way and following the right processes. And finally, there are always weird and wonderful ways that our customers use these. There's a few examples rather, that we'd like to bring up. One is around managing engine control units in sports cars, or tracking gurneys in hospitals. And we heard from Domino's today about how they track and manage legal contracts using assets. So how do we recommend you get started in using assets today? It's really a two-part strategy. The first part is about finding and importing the important stuff in your organization. This can be done via discovery solutions, connection to databases or other CMDBs, and everyone's favorite, a time-old classic, the CSV. Building that foundation of data is super important, and it's key to remember you don't need to bring in everything. Making good decisions, whether it's around changes and incidents to critical services or security and compliance, just to name a few, they all require a fuller, more accurate picture of all the critical assets, which means we need good coverage and data quality. Now, if you've attended the session in the morning, you would have already heard the fantastic news that AirTrack, who makes IT data quality management software, has joined the Atlassian family. With this announcement, we're making our mission clear to help you take a more comprehensive approach to asset management, accounting for and tracking all critical assets within your organization so you can minimize operational risks, costs, and attack surfaces. AirTrack helps us get there. It helps you keep all of your assets data complete, correct, and current across your enterprise. So AirTrack offers 30 out-of-the-box connectors, including AWS, Microsoft, Jamf, and Landsweeper, so your teams can aggregate and cleanse data with more multiple discovery tools, databases, and component parts across their entire organization's IT landscape. It also offers rapid data reconciliation. AirTrack is able to surface inaccuracies across different systems of record, pinpoint potential issues, and fast-track remediation. For example, it is able to uncover devices not scanned by security toolsets that could increase attack exposure, or find inventory gaps related to, resulting in license compliance issues. Lastly, AirTrack tackles data that goes beyond IT. You'll be able to aggregate information related to a broad array of assets, so you can address a wider range of challenges around inventory and billing, forecasting and planning, and so much more. If you are interested in signing up for our AirTrack Early Access program, get your phone out and scan that QR code right now. All right, if you didn't get it, don't worry, we have a slide at the end as well. So returning to our two-part strategy, this is really about bringing assets into your service experiences. So in using JSM for your various service management practices about requests, incidents, and change, you can also use assets to deliver customized request forms for your customers, provide rich context and dependency maps to your agents, identify impacted assets from service outages from service dependency maps, and fully automate workflows and approvals, letting your teams focus on adding value. So let's take a look at what these look like. So this is a view of request management using assets. Users can log requests using the assets field in the portal, which can be automatically filtered to a set of options depending on the user, who they are. So if they want a laptop, it can be spec'd out according to the user's role, their location, or even their cost center. This allows you to put more logic behind your intake processes. In the agent view of the request, the asset field shows additional data necessary to resolve the request. In this case, the full spec of the required laptop. This example also includes a hidden assets field, which is only available for the agent. This basically displays which devices are already checked out to the user. In this example, we can see the help seeker's current laptop is undergoing maintenance. So as an agent, you can see what has and is happening to the asset you're working on right now without having to switch screens or go to other tools. Requests aren't the only place to surface access data, though. Here we see a screen of a change manager evaluating a change request for the transaction service. Thanks to assets, we have the information about the service directly in the request. And we can see that there's an ongoing incident impacting the service. It's probably not the best time to ship a change. This brings more context to the surface of IT operations teams to make the right changes or decisions around changes. And when there's an ongoing incident affecting the service, assets comes through again, with information about dependencies between services or CIs that help your team understand the extent of the outage and identify the right teams to help with incident response. And so with that, I'll hand it over to Carolyn to share more about the Atlassian platform.
Thank you, Kristen. Hi, everyone. All right. So as we've covered off a bunch of the ways that assets can be used as part of Jira Service Management, let's now have a look at how assets integrates with the broader Atlassian platform. So you saw just before how the assets field can be used for your customers with the Jira Service Management portal. You can also leverage the field for your development teams in Jira Software and your business teams in Jira Work Management. So users who are licensed for Jira can view and also select values from the assets field. And that means that they can use the field across their various views, such as their boards, also their workflows and their automation rules. So the idea here is that assets data flows across the Jira platform, and it enables for multiple teams across an organization to work together across the same assets objects. On to Confluence Cloud. So we're really pleased to be running at this point an early access program for surfacing assets data in Confluence. And what this capability does is it allows you to insert a filtered table of assets objects directly into a Confluence page. So this is really important for a couple of reasons. Firstly, it means that you can continue to do your work in Confluence without having to go anywhere, and you can access assets data directly from a page. Secondly, it means that you can provide context around a set of objects. So the example that you see here is a page outlining goals for FY24 for the facilities team. Now, there's a goal that references upkeep and maintenance of assets objects, and so that data can be brought directly into this page. This is also the foundational piece for assets everywhere. So we've started with Confluence, but this capability is going to be able to be leveraged wherever the Atlassian editor is implemented eventually. So that's pretty exciting. Another thing which you probably saw with the keynote talk earlier today is that we are kicking off our early access program for assets reporting directly within Jira Service Management. So that means now that our Jira Service Management Premium and Enterprise customers will have access to an assets dashboard and charts directly within Jira Service Management. Of course, Atlassian Analytics, still the place to go to if you want to be conducting cross-product analysis, but we know a lot of people are excited to hear about this particular announcement. So if you do want to sign up for the early access program for assets reporting, here's the QR code. And again, we will be showing this later on, so if you miss out, don't worry. Plus, you can always come and find us at the Jira Service Management booth for the details of this form. We recently launched Compass. So Compass is a components catalog. It's also a DevOps health tool, and it is an extensibility engine, really. It allows developers to customize their workflows according to their particular needs. Now, with this launch, we are going to be synchronizing Compass components with Jira Service Management services, including the services schema within assets. So we'll be conducting the sync between components that are held in common between DevOps teams and also IT ops teams. So software services, applications, capabilities. With this sync in place, it means that the teams who work across these components will have a singular view of the data that they manage. So that does mean that teams will be able to collaborate better around services. They'll be able to make smarter, faster changes and also resolve incidents more quickly. As we think about how best to support our customers on assets, what is front of mind for us is optionality around getting data into assets and also supporting our customers in leveraging assets data across their workflows. So we are really excited to announce that we've been doing a bunch of work on Forge to enable large data imports. And we are actually looking for developers to join us at Atlas Camp in December to come and build with us. So there's two types of apps that we're looking to support. Firstly, import apps, so bringing in rich data sets into assets, and also workflow-related apps. So that's where we're supporting various use cases related to assets data. We're at the beginning of our journey of marketplace apps. So if you come and build with us, you can obviously help us shape the modern CMDB from day one. Okay, the part you probably all been waiting for, the roadmap. So I am going to cover off both cloud and DC features. I'm going to start with what we have recently shipped and then move on to a glimpse into our product direction. Earlier this year, we launched a new UI for assets, which means that it now looks like it's a part of Jira Service Management. And this new front-end componentry is great for users who are getting up and running with assets because they are familiar and they're used across the Atlassian product set. It also means that because we are leveraging these Atlassian components, our teams are able to deliver features faster to our customers. Templates. We shipped out-of-the-box templates a couple months ago, and we have a number of schema structures for common use cases. So IT assets, people, facilities. We know it's really hard to get started with a blank sheet of paper, so the templates can help you understand how assets work, how to set up attributes, how to set up references, and also they provide you with a surface to edit to your requirements and needs. We are looking to add more templates, so really interested to hear what templates you'd like to see within the product. Scalability, another thing that we've been hard at work on. We know that 1 million assets is not enough for a lot of the use cases that our customers are using assets for. So we are running an early access program at the moment for support of 3 million objects. And next year, we're looking to press the limits even further and take it up to 5 million. And in parallel to this, the work that we've been doing to support the increased scale of assets is actually around enhanced queries using AQL. We've seen much faster queries, up to 10 times faster, and also a more performant platform for assets as a whole. So subsequently, this is a piece of work that, whilst you may not be interested in the large volumes of objects, there's actually benefits for all customers off the back of this work. Lastly, integrations. So we've launched the APIs for assets on Forge, and we've seen a great amount of uptake for those APIs within the marketplace, with new apps coming out all the time, and also adoption from customers. And this is just one of the aspects that we have in place with our strategy to help our customers get data in and also help them with using assets data across workflows. Cool, on to what's next. So this is not in any kind of strict chronological order. This is just to give you a sense of what we're working on, what are our focus areas. And firstly, we have consolidate. So really this is about building a cohesive product experience. We've talked a little bit about integrating AirTrack into assets and also the out-of-the-box reporting available as part of Jira Service Management. So DC, for data center I should say, the team are working on delivering dark mode. That is currently available on cloud. So that will bring the data center in parallel with cloud. And as part of that initiative, we're also looking at updating the icons for data centers. So they'll be aligned with Atlassian Style Guide and also will be up to scratch with accessibility standards as well. Enterprise. So we believe that assets is suitable to all sizes of teams, but we do know that our enterprise customers have really specific and advanced needs and requirements. So as part of the enterprise stream of work, we have been looking at performance. So in particular, query and import performance. We know that large imports of data do require enhanced performance around those two focus areas. And the other side of this from a DC perspective is that, that we've been looking at, that's right, the zero downtime deployments for cloud. So making sure that there's no interruption to your assets service. Shifting gears to scale. As shared earlier, we are looking to support increased numbers of objects on the cloud side of things. So 3 million this year and 5 million coming next year. On the DC side of things, we have been more focused on the management of scale. So a feature that is going to be released this financial year is parallel imports. So that means that you can run multiple import jobs at the same time. So no longer will you have to experience a critical job failing off the back of a delayed import job. Looking at compliance, we have a bunch of items on the roadmap for assets. We're going to be delivering Bring Your Own Key, or BYOK, this coming, later this year. And then we'll also be supporting after that backup and restore. Another thing which is important for our customers is delivering audit logs and also the FedRAMP moderate instance. On the DC side of things, the focus will be on supporting the archival functionality for assets. So that means that when it comes to compliance use cases, customers will no longer have to trade off their compliance needs with scale and performance. Migration. So we're looking to make assets a part of the Jira Cloud Migration Assistant, which will mean that data can be seamlessly migrated from server DC to cloud. And the other side of this is also cloud-to-cloud migrations. We are looking to increase our efforts in marketplace app development. As I talked about before, that's really across the two areas of imports and also workflows for assets data. And rounding off enterprise, we're also looking at how we can support usability of large sets of data, or usability at scale, as we like to call it. So critical improvements to the user experience to enable large volumes of objects. Lastly, expand. So there's kind of two ways that we're thinking about assets in the expansion category. Firstly, there is the vertical scale. So we're talking about going deeper with IT service management practices. So how can we use assets, and in particular services, to offer more processes around change management? How do we support the capabilities required specific to services in this case? And then secondly, the other area of expansion is that of going horizontal, so enterprise service management. And for this, we are thinking about all the various use cases that assets can support. Whether it's for HR teams, legal, marketing, IT, as we do believe that there are a bunch of unlocked opportunities in that particular ESM space. Cool. I thought I would just throw up a couple of resources, Assets webpage on the left, and then the Assets white paper on the right-hand side. I will say the Assets white paper is fantastic. It's a step-by-step guide to setting up assets. It's really in-depth. It's a great resource. So if you haven't taken a look at that, then would highly recommend.